Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Paradigm Shift, episode 195. 195 weeks in a row, no weeks off. And we have not one, but two awesome, dynamic, multifaceted, handsome guests on today. And personally, I could be more pumped about it. So there's that. How you guys doing? How's your week going? Uncle Dave, see, we're going to bring one right now. Got some great cats right here in the chats. What are you guys most pumped about right now for 2025? Let us know. Dave's probably gonna make fun of my sweater and my hair. There he is.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
I'm great. This is the first time we've done our paradigm shift from Egypt, so we're covering the whole world in a few years.
Weren't you in Egypt last week when we did it?
I was in DC, San Antonio, DC, left on Friday morning for Egypt, and I am on my last evening, so I may have to leave a couple minutes early, but nonetheless, I'm here.
That's okay. How's the trip been? I imagine
Bucket
epic.
list. I will tell you, anyone that don't buy the hype, Egypt is safe. It's amazing. It will convince you there's aliens, though. I'll tell you, there's no way that human beings. What I find so interesting, Craig, is that governments love to take credit for things that may not be from the government itself. And so I believe in the higher sources and higher intelligence, and, you know, whether it be like the military in 1969 getting CDMA technology. I know right there in New Jersey, there's a bunch of funky clone stuff going on in portal information. But if you stand at the obelisks or the pyramids, or there's just no way human beings could ever do what has been done here. And I know governments like to promote their innovation, but every government out there, I'm sure, has utilized information from a higher source in some way or another. You and I have been doing that in a different way, but this is, for me, the biggest proof I've ever seen by standing next to some of these things, going, you know, you can put 3 tons of rock on the back of a trailer today, 2024, going to 25. It'll break the trailer. So you're not telling me with human beings, I don't care, they've never found a pulley system, but the rope would break. If it's breaking trailers, these are 30 tons and, you know, 100 feet in the air. Come on now. This is pretty amazing stuff.
That's great. I bet Julie's loving that. I know she loves aliens.
Oh yeah, we're challenging all the tour guides with our alien questions. So, and to be honest, most of them they believe as well, even though they don't promote it in private. All the tour guides are pretty convinced, like we are, that there must have been some extra help given in Egypt.
Beautiful. Beautiful. To be honest with you, I kind of miss you, so I'm selfishly excited that you're coming back, but I'm so happy that you had such a good trip. Is this your first time there?
Time in Egypt, and I highly suggest it. It's a bucket list trip of mine. You know, I've been all over the world. I don't know how many countries, but this is one of the most incredible experiences. And not to say I'm not happy to go home and see the family, and we got some more trips planned before the end of the year. So we still got SoFi Mastermind, Tom Bilyeu, me, Marshall Falk, Rob Riggle's flying in, and then into Tulum, and then Atlanta with Aspire and CES Investor Mastermind. We got NASDAQ Mastermind coming up in New York City. So anybody out there, make sure you're part of our community. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com.
And hopefully nobody loses their luggage on the way back.
Crazy, right? I tell them, don't check bags. Number one travel tip. Don't check bags. You can FedEx your shit. You can get it made. You can buy it there, but don't check a bag. Woo, look who's here.
And speaking of handsome,
there we go.
JC, good morning, brother. How are you?
I'm good, brother.
Where are you dialing in from? Where are you?
I'm in Florida, down in Fort Lauderdale.
Probably real nice out there right now.
Can't complain, dog. Can't complain.
Yeah. We're super pumped to have you on today. Our community's in for such a treat. Let's just dive right in. I know you do so many dynamic things right now. I'm curious, when you were growing up, what were some of the traits that you possessed aside from talent that turned you into such a prolific and dynamic athlete?
That's a great question. I mean, if we're talking about when I was young, to be completely honest with you, I was lacking in talent. I think what's most interesting about my story, you see guys go to the NFL, you see guys go be great. I was never that kid who was like, that prospect where, I was in the eighth grade and, I had Nick Saban looking at me. Like, I wasn't that kid, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade. Like, I didn't see the field. I was the kid in the fifth grade when we had to go do bear crawls. Like, I was hiding in the bathroom because I was too out of shape, So I think what's unique about myself is I've had the perspective of being on both extremes, of being a guy who had zero role, who truly just had to really, really work at it. Like, yeah, I had a growth spurt in the eighth grade. I went from being short and chubby to tall and skinny kind of quick. But from a skill and talent standpoint, I had a lot to build. I had a lot to grind for and improve on. And I think that's what's most interesting is like the determination, I'll say, is one of the biggest things. I feel like my sophomore year of high school is when I like truly made the decision I was going to commit myself to football for real. Whether that's coming in early, going late, never missing a workout, being a leader, getting other guys to follow along. Like from that standpoint, that's kind of when I made that decision. So resilience, determination, work ethic, being willing to sacrifice, being able to prioritize. I come from a family that's from Cameroon. Both my parents born and raised in Cameroon. Both of my sisters are a lot older than me. They're born and raised in Cameroon. I feel like my entire life, I've always tried my best to take advantage of the opportunity of being here in America. I think it's easy to sit here and like say that and like no, like yeah, we live in America, we have so much opportunity, we have freedom, all these things, there's opportunity here, but like to know where your family comes from, know that your family was just there, and to know that if you were there that you truly would not have that opportunity, like you can really materialize it in your head more so than some other people. And I feel like the determination to just not let my parents down, to not let their sacrifice go to waste, I feel like is what motivated me so much.
Beautiful. Very well spoken, Dave. I know that you speak in your language.
Yeah. I mean, I always say, man, it's not the mistakes that you made. It's the lack of commitment that's not going to get you to your potential. But it's interesting because people don't think about their own potential. And as much as I loved playing football myself, and I was still within the realm of knowing that my basement was determined by my skills and my knowledge, but it would be my desire that creates the delta in my life. And just because your delta may not be in the NFL, for me, it was, I always say, being an average, although my college football coach said I was a below average college football player. That was as close to my potential as I've ever become. I hope in sales that someday I reach as close to my potential in sales, because my basement's so high in sales. There's tons of people on earth that literally will practice every single day and never get to my basement, the same way that is true in a variety of different aspects of life. And I want people to really hone in on the fact that we have to frame things in the context or the circumstances of the day. Whether you're from Akron, Ohio or the Cameroon, we can all tell ourselves that meaning. I always tell people, stop searching for the meaning for life, because you can give life its own meaning, but you need to focus in on living your life, not finding the meaning of life. And when we can, people want to feel that they're alive. They don't want to live their life like they're tubes. And so, sitting as a short, fat kid in the seventh grade sucks shit. But as soon as an opportunity arose of growing tall and skinny, most people still may just still be that short, fat kid hiding in the bathroom because they don't want to participate. But you saw an opportunity because now you had a true potential to reach, and putting into context of the reality of today, that I don't want to let my mom down because you raised 6 kids in Akron, Ohio, or you're from the Cameroon in the first generation of opportunity in the greatest country ever created. This is what people need to focus in on. But regardless of your opportunities, options, and touches of favor, if you don't have the commitment, you're bound to fail, and you're bound to ever live your life and be alive. You'll be a tube, food in and food out every day. That's your whole life.
Dave is on fire today. That was beautiful. I
Couldn't have
love
said it
you.
better.
I love what you said there. Don't look for the meaning. Give your life meaning. Don't search for. How do you say it?
Yeah, you can't search for the meaning, you got to give your life meaning. You have a power to give meaning to everything you see. And most people are searching for meaning when they should be trying to figure out how they can feel alive. People want to feel alive. And that's only with commitment, discipline, consistent behavior aligned with where you want to be. Pursuing your potential will make you alive every day, and you can give meaning to whatever you see.
Beautiful.
Ooh, I love that. And I think the beautiful thing about that, when you talk about society and people in general, is I truly feel like there are so many people out there that have no idea what they're made of. And they don't know what they're made of because they don't ever push themselves past their own limits. So they never get to find out. Like, that's one thing I love about the sport of football, regardless of whether you play at a high level or not, even like from the Pop Warner days, like going through training camp, going through the training, the workouts, like football will show you it'll show you what you got inside. It'll break you down all the way down to your core, and you'll figure out what type of man you are. There aren't many things on this earth I feel like you can participate in where at the end of it you'll truly know what you're made of if you put your all into it. So that's one thing that I love. And I don't feel like people put their all into things, and that's the reason why they never realize what they're capable of. Like you say, like, giving being able to give life meaning instead of searching for the meaning. That's all. So much of that is perspective. Like, even now, I'm retired. I'm done playing football, and I can sit here and like sulk and be like, oh, like, what's next? Like, I know what I'm gonna do next, but I can sit here and sulk that I'm not playing anymore, that I have all this free time. And having all this free time when you're normally used to every single minute of your day being, taken up by whether it's meetings or practice or workouts or whatever it is. Like, I have a daughter now. Like, now I have new meaning. Instead of sitting here and being like, oh man, I have all this time, like I feel lazy, like, and I'm not making a ton of money how I used to when I was like, no, like, now is this time to be a father. You give it meaning. Okay, now I'm honed into being a father and growing my daughter. Like, that's meaning. Like, you don't have time to be looking around worried about all this other stuff. Like, now there's always something you can be pouring yourself into. So
Yeah, beautiful.
I love that.
I love what you said about football too. For me, that would be the marathons, and it's so transformative. And you'll push yourself to the limit, and you'll get to another level. Maybe you won't. You'll find out that about yourself too. I wanted to ask you, because it's not like you're just sitting around right now. I know you're up to a lot of things besides being an amazing dad. How do you continuously reinvent yourself in different chapters and seasons of life?
That's a great question. I feel like that's what this year's been all about for me, is reinventing myself. Um, being done with football now, and I've always been the type of person who's been very invested in my plan B. I've always been very smart, knowing that, with football, on any given day, your career could be done. Dude can come, slice you, take your knee out. You can just be done. That's it. So, since I was a rookie and I was an undrafted rookie, so I didn't know how long I was going to play. You know how hard it is to make it in the league as an undrafted guy. From a mindset standpoint, I was always preparing myself for what's next. I wanted to be the type of player where when I was done playing, it felt like I was holding two torches. And when football was done, I was just dropping one. Instead of only holding the one torch of football, dropping this and then trying to figure out what the next torch to hold is. That's the type of position I want to put myself in. So early in my career, I was always going to the broadcasting boot camps. I'm very interested in media and broadcasting, and being a football analyst and things of that nature. So, I think it was after my rookie year, I applied for the broadcasting boot camp. I was the youngest to ever get accepted, the youngest to attend. The guy before me who was the youngest was MJD, who is now on the NFL Network, Good Morning Football, and things of that nature. So, I took a huge interest in that. I was blessed enough to be able to do a show for Penn State football this year for Play Fly. Did a pregame, postgame show. My boy Christian Hackenberg, who I played football with at Penn State. We had a blast covering the team this year. I mean, we're 11-2. We lost the Big Ten championship game, but we're in a great position to go into the playoffs. Home playoff game at Beaver Stadium. So, I'm doing a lot from that broadcasting standpoint, and just trying to get myself out there. For those of you who follow me on social media, I've been a lot more active on social media lately. My agent texted me, he was like, bro, you haven't posted. He's like, you haven't posted shit in 6 weeks. I was like, all right, let me get on it, So I started clipping up my show and getting my stuff out on TikTok and Instagram, short form and stuff of that nature. So looking to just continue to grow in the media space, and being a former athlete and talking about the game, I think that brings a lot of value to the fans from a knowledge standpoint, an IQ standpoint, and I think it's just a fresh look look at football, having as many former players as we do who are now joining the media space.
Beautiful.
You know, so interesting, and I've been blessed ever since I retired from sports agency with Lee Steinberg, and then Warren Moon and I started on the marketing side together. I realized the reinvention process really was an expansive process, and it wasn't a transition. Although, you know, I want everyone to know, especially in football, that a football player experiences two deaths, no matter what level it is. If you're in love with the sport, whether it's Pop Warner, high school, college, or especially as a professional, where you don't have but every minute of the day focus intentionally on being the best football player you can be, you're going to experience death when you retire. And regardless of how much money you have, how much success you had, it doesn't matter. And so when we look at expanding on three different things and realigning it, which you can call reinventing, but realign your skills, your knowledge, and your desire into broadcasting or entrepreneurship or your family. You know, there's a lot of things that we can realign our own skills, knowledge, and desire. When we expand and align our skills, knowledge, and desire with what's doing well today for ourselves, what we hope to be doing well in the future, and what's stable, you're going to see some great success. And when we stop focusing in on the commissions in life, but our mission in life, the commissions will always come as well. So helping people expand has always been one of my main aspects of even being an agent, but beyond that, over the last 15 years, helping people expand. And everyone, whether you're military, teaching, or especially in sports, you're going to have to realign the skills, knowledge, and desire and innovate a new type of pursuit for yourself. And congratulations on doing that so quickly, because not everybody's able to do that and have the foresight to do that.
I'm definitely not the type that can sit around. If I sit around, bro, like it's a little bit unhealthy. Like I don't really know how to rest. I don't know how to sit down and just chill.
I'm
my,
with
my
you.
my my people that are closest to me, they get on me for that all the time. Like, bro,
Don't let
it's okay to just enjoy the mortgage on some days, man. Like it's all right.
me be active, man. It's just, look, sleeping is an activity. If people want to stay high on their mom's couch, broken, sick, that's their choice. But I'm going to be active every day, and I'm with you. Minimums amount of every day in my non-negotiables, as you know, Craig. Anyway, go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, no, I was just saying this is beautiful. Jason, thank you so much for hopping on today, brother. We're excited to stay connected, do some more things. And I know Dave and I both know that you're just getting warmed
Yeah,
up.
yeah. There's no doubt about it, brother. There's no
No
doubt
help,
about it.
help, man. Keep up the great work.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye, buddy.
All right, man.
Awesome. What a great guest, Dave. Dave, you got
That's
some?
all. We got the amazing threesome here.
Yep. We're going to bring on our second guest. And Dave, you got some great nuggets today, too. No surprise.
Fired up in Egypt,
I could see that.
not far from Cameroon, but far enough.
Focus on the mission, you'll get the commission. There he is.
And look at this handsome gentleman.
David, good to see you again, my man.
Great to
Todd,
see
nice
you.
to meet you.
Yeah, you
How
as
are
well.
you?
I'm great. It's a nice, not even early Saturday morning. Here, I'm just about to go off and start being a Uber driver for all my kids' sports.
Nice.
Where is here? Where are you?
So New York City is home, but today we also have a place in Kelowna, British Columbia, the mountains of Canada. So that's where we're at
I don't
today.
think I realize you're in New York City. So am I. We're neighbors. We'll have to grab a coffee.
Yeah, all the time.
Coffee.
The
Beautiful.
cool.
Let's dive right in. I wanted to ask you so many things. Our community is in for such a treat. But from coaching so many elite professionals in all different industries, what is something that you've discovered that they do that might be a commonality to actually win?
Well, I mean, David was just talking about it. I mean, it's really hard to pull any amount of your capabilities out of you if you're not going to be disciplined and consistent with whatever it is that you're trying to get better at. Like, there's so many people that have come to probably all of us at some point in time, and they say that they want something, but then when you just take a look at the practical application of them pursuing that thing, they're just not putting in the reps in order to get better. Um, and and so that's a big thing. Is just like the People hear it all the time, but it's a cliche for a reason: discipline and consistency. And then I'd say the other thing is that they have a maniacal focus on very, 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 very few things. Meaning, like, David, when you take a look at whether it's your success in your career or the people that you've been around, they didn't grow businesses maybe because they had 17 different channels that they had going for them. They had like one. In fact, there was a big study that was done on the growth of the what they call unicorns in software companies. And what they found was the unicorns in SaaS, the ones who got to $1 billion plus valuations, they actually only mastered one channel. And it could have been like direct outreach, or it could have been ads, or it could have been content like HubSpot. So you take those ideas from business or sport. Kobe, and working with Kobe literally just practiced a couple of ways to beat a guy on the dribble, and he mastered those drills over and over and over and over again. So just my experience.
It's so true. I just became chairman of Napoleon Hill
Wait,
Institute, and the
kick you out.
influence on my life with Think and Grow Rich, Outwitting the Devil, How to Sell Through Life. And
So wait, I'm going to stop you right there, David. It's really funny because I have, in order to make this work, because normally I'm in my studio and I've got like TVs and stuff like that. I've got my phone mounted up against that book right there.
so, but it talks about in Napoleon Hill singularity of focus, control of impulse. In the drifting philosophy of controlling impulse. And the common denominator within that aspect of understanding a singularity of focus, that doesn't mean you won't end up with 17 businesses with Elon Musk and being
No.
the director of efficiency of the United States or whatever else the guy's going to do, because I'm getting into so many different areas that are all aligned singularity of my focus and the control of my impulse that has expanded time for me. But the one common denominator that's inherent in all the descriptive adjectives of discipline and habitual behaviors and all the commitment that's necessary is desire. And the one desire that seems to be the common denominator, and we've been blessed to work with the best in business and sports all over the world. There's only one common denominator. It's the desire that you must be what you can be. Because if your purpose is not greater than the pain, there's going to be plenty of mistakes. I think personally, most people, the biggest mistake they make is they don't make enough mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, because if you have a desire that you must be what you can be, even if you're not going to be that great, like I was in football,
Yeah.
I just had a desire that I must be what I can be in football. It doesn't mean that I was going to make the NFL, but it meant that within the realm of everything else that I was going to do, that I learned that my purpose was greater than the pain. And when you are as lack of talented as I was in college, there's a lot of pain when I played college football, but my purpose was much greater than that, which makes my life so easy. Even, I would say, less pain than losing over $100 million and going bankrupt than there was being as shitty as I was at football in college. There's a lot of pain at 147 pounds. You know what that feels like, don't you, Craig?
Yeah.
Amen. This is awesome. Such a perfect conversation right now. And Todd, one of the other things I saw you talk about, which really moved me, was the importance of an ego death in order to get to your next level.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you described that, I thought that was so powerful. Can you unpack that?
Yeah. Typically when when I'm sharing that, it's in regards to like when Kobe and I had met in order to really what ended up becoming the Black Mamba. He was going through his, criminal case back in 2003. And when he reached out to my mentor originally, this guy, Harvey Dorfman, who's like the giant of the mental game industry, um, Harvey said, "Oh, you need to talk to Todd because he really focuses on identity-based performance." And so when he came to me, his words that he would say is, "I'm losing my edge." And I said, "No, you're not losing your edge. You're going through an ego death." And an ego death happens when, for any people that are listening, if you're someone who is constantly pushing yourself to limits, you're constantly striving to do more and more difficult things, the version of you that has gotten to a certain level is no longer useful to get to the next level. And so that there needs to be an ego death that happens there. And so Kobe, in that example, he played through what I call like the innocent archetype. He was the young 18-year-old kid who came into the NBA. He was Michael Jordan's little brother and all that. But now he was going through some very serious things. And if he didn't accept that that was a new reality and accept the fact that no one was going to view him the same way, but if he tried to play through that particular ego type, he was going to get caught in a purgatory, and it was going to be painful and difficult, and he was going to have lots of struggles and challenges. So there's an opportunity to reinvent ourselves. What's the next version that we can go into? And I mean, I talk about that in my book, The Alter Ego Effect, about how we can use identity as a way to help us morph and change and transform far more quickly than just attaching new habits to our lives, because your beliefs, your attitudes, your values, your behaviors, your actions are all stacked on top of an identity and how you see yourself. So this ego death happens.
I got to interrupt because I got to
Yeah,
leave. I'm in Egypt, but I just have to tell you this: that Alter Ego Effect book is one of the greatest books I've ever read, and I wish I would have read it when I was young. I would have put Tony Gwynn's baseball card in my hat, and I would have been the greatest hitter of all time. If you haven't read Alter Ego Effect and followed unbelievable stuff, it will change your life. Both of you. I apologize, but we're in Egypt. It's my last night. My wife's waiting.
go
Uh,
ahead.
Reach out. I want to catch up with both of you guys. Thank you so
Dave,
much for giving me a few. Thank you.
Dave,
Thanks,
love
Meltzer.
you. Have
I
fun. Todd, you have
well,
another minutes?
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Sorry to
David.
sorry to leave.
Dave, go ride a camel. Have some fun. No, but I love what you're saying too, because I wrote a book last year, The Reinvention Formula, from Wall Street to what I'm doing now, hit Wall Street Journal bestseller. And I think there's a misconception of reinvention. It doesn't just mean a new career. I mean what you mean, brother. You articulate a little bit better than I did, but just constantly reframing and reinventing your consciousness, right? Because as you go to new levels, the habits, all the stuff that was associated with that identity, it can only get you to where you are. But if you want to keep expanding, then you have to reinvent that, and you have to kill off what got you here to be available, which can propel you somewhere further, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you just think about how a lot of the world of self-help and personal development and leadership languages things to people is um, when people are trying to find their mission, their purpose, and if there's anything that people could take away from this part of the conversation, this is typically one that people resonate with is anytime if you just raise your hand in the chat if you've ever had a difficult time when someone says, hey, you need to have a mission for your life, you need to have a mission statement for your life, or you have to have a purpose statement for your life. Okay. Now the challenge with that is we start to take all of these different roles that we have, all these different areas that we play in, and we try to encapsulate it down to like one statement. It's very difficult when reality is human beings, we live in context and we have many different roles that we play. So if I said to you, hey, Craig, what would be the mission statement that you would have as for your career? What would be the mission statement that you would have as a father or as a husband or a wife or whatever? When we start to actually limit our identity down to one specific thing, it becomes a lot easier for us to mold and shape. And so that's the work that we do, or that I do with professional athletes or entrepreneurs and leaders, is start to segment their life and then be very intentional about the person that shows up in those very specific areas. And that's actually how we end up getting massive amounts of transformation with people, because it's our brains are built for context, and we're just applying these proven principles into something a lot more specific.
I love it. And also, there's a misconception about transformation in the time. Sometimes transformation can happen in an instant, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's so funny that you bring it up, because I was just talking to one of my NHL clients about it, and he's just going through a bit of a challenging time right now. And through that challenging time, he was starting to place rules on how long things were going to take. And I said, don't do that to yourself. Like the amazing thing about the human experience is there's like wormholes and warp speeds and stuff to thought, and like once you start aligning the way that you're perceiving yourself with the way that you're feeling about yourself and then the actions, that's what I call like the triune athlete. That's what I built my business on, was doing speeches back in 1997 on the triune athlete, the mentally, emotionally, and physically tough athlete. That when you align these three things, now this like these pipes are now lined up, and you can get all of your capability coming out of you. So you're 100% right. Like, it's not about time, it's about sometimes the commitment to it, the suspending the disbelief that that it has to take a long time, and allowing these, kind of laws to just take place.
One of my favorite words, allowing, right?
Yeah.
Being able to receive what's already here, but we have to be available for it.
Yeah. So anyways, there you go.
Now, awesome stuff. I know our community is going to be obsessed with you in 2 seconds. What are you most pumped about right now, and how can our audience and so forth maybe get involved or stay informed?
I mean, beyond the phase of life I'm in where it's being a dad, the thing I'm most pumped about is going into the next 6 weeks, the Alter Ego Effect book, because we're in this season of like, people are thinking about next year and, transformation and stuff. So like the book always spikes, which then means that, people start reaching out in January and February with like, oh my God, I wish I had this book, kind of like what David was saying before. So I'm always excited for like the start of the new year and what's coming down. I'm writing another book called Unapologetic, which is very much the attitude that I would say is one of the hallmarks of the amazing people that I've had the chance to work with and be around. Is they're just wholly unapologetic for who they are, how they show up, what it is that they want, and they're going to move heaven and earth in order to make that happen. So that, and yeah, those are the kind of the two main things that I'm excited about right now.
You speak my language, brother, with the ego death and unapologetic, authenticity, and all that stuff. Great stuff. Thank you so much for stopping by today with these nuggets. Let's do many more things, and especially if you're in New York, we'll connect offline.
Absolutely. Cheers. Thanks for having me, Bob.
Have a good weekend, brother.
Bye.
Bye, guys.